Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jiaze. Last year, my parents brought me to London, and we visited the Tate Modern Museum. As I walked into room 11 of its materials and objects display, truth to be told, I got very frustrated. How could such a detailed and magnificent piece of artwork be captured in one single shot? If I zoomed out too much, all the intricate details would be lost. The red pliers, magnifying glasses, paintbrushes, scissors, and the tiny wooden bridges made from these tools. Ladders, rulers, and tangled wires all floating above the gallery floor. And upon seeing this, I couldn't help but think about the bots from the I Spy game I used to play as a child. There was something about the way that Jiaze's installation that came together that instantly reminded me of the sense of wonder and curiosity. The way I would search for these hidden details, piece by piece. As soon as my friend started off with, I spy with my little eyes. As I stood there, I felt like I'd been transported back to that childhood sense of discovery. And this is exactly what Jiaze's installations does to its viewers, leaving them trying to reconcile childhood nostalgia with the futuristic nature of her artworks. Well, who is she? Jiaze is an American contemporary artist who built sculptures and installations from everyday materials, constructing her work by hand and building often gravity-defying towers that fill their exhibition space. Born in Boston in 1969, Z completed her Master in Arts at Yale University in both architecture and painting, and later her Master in Fine Arts in the School of Visual Arts. With a background in both architecture and painting, she calls her sculptures a marriage of the two. And well, it's CSUY. The 1999 sculpture, Seamless, dominates its entire exhibition space, as it's suspended from the gallery ceiling and attached to its empty walls, at times even penetrating these walls to expose structure of the building. And she expressed that the choices she had made in creating this piece were very painterly. What does that mean? Well, like a painter, she carefully places objects in a room such that it guides the viewer's eyes, making it seem like something of a brushstroke being thrown across the room. And most of us, we think of sculptures as fixed and heavy and confined in one space, but these sculptures, they feel light, airy, and even chaotic at first glance, more like a painting. The bright patches of colors and intricate details of Seamless are juxtaposed to its white flat walls. And yet, the artwork is not off place with setting, because another interesting fact was that Seamless was originally made for another art exhibition, the Carnegie International in 1999, Pittsburgh. After being in storage for a full 19 years, it was finally reinstalled in the Tate Modern Museum in 2018. Seamless was then reconfigured to fit the exact dimensions of the London Gallery. And she noted that its title then took on a new meaning as it was placed at the seam of the two Tate Modern buildings. And the way that she reconfigured the artwork really does prove a claim. Because you see, Seamless also reveals the hidden parts of the museum, the behind-the-scenes spaces that are crucial in creating that seamless gallery experience. Take a look at these square cutouts on the wall with the wires designed to penetrate them. Through these little square holes, you are able to see the back rooms of the museum itself. And with that, it gives you enough to understand, but not enough to know the full story. And that puts you into the realm of imagination as you start to wonder the possibilities of what is behind those walls. Now, let's take a look at the materials that she uses. She explores the idea of the ready-made, a concept first introduced by artist Marcel Duchamp. He uses manufactured objects such as his famous urinal artwork, Fountain, to challenge what we consider as art. Ready-made is this concept where ordinary found everyday objects are repurposed as works of art by the artist such that their original significance then disappears. Jiaze builds on this idea. But instead of just displaying the objects, she uses them as active parts of her artwork. For instance, take a look at this small bridge made out of wooden matchsticks. Displayed alone with the display along with the magnifying glass and the spirit level that's been used to create it and connect it to the rest of the piece. These tools are not just objects anymore. They signify the creative process, production, and growth. Through this, Jiaze explores the boundary between functionality and aesthetics, making and experiencing. Another concept within the piece is the idea of the archive, how we mark time through objects. The objects in Z sculptures are the same ones from 1999, and part of the idea was that these practical, perfected tools wouldn't change over time, unlike the rapidly evolving technologies. Certain items within the piece show the time when it was first made, such as the 1999 ID card, while newer objects, such as the receipt, show the time of its reinstallation. These objects create a portrait of time and behavior, giving a sense of history being embedded into the artwork. And that links to how Jiaze talks about sculptures as something that works with space, touch, location, intimacy, and memory. What does that mean? Think about how the physical spaces around us affect our experiences, like when we touch something familiar or walk into a meaningful place. That may evoke thoughts or emotions linked to that place, like when I press the button on a lift to my HDB block. That may remind me of all the other times I came back home from school, carrying my bag and feeling the warmth of familiarity. Seamless captures these feelings, reminding us that art, like life, is shaped by the places that we inhabit and the objects that we interact with. The sculpture feels alive, almost like an ecosystem. Through the use of dynamic materials such as a fan, humidifier, and lights. These components introduce elements of air, water, and light into the artwork, making it seem as though it was constantly in motion, growing, shifting, and evolving. This organic movement mirrors the double helix structure of DNA, which the artwork seems to resemble. Like DNA, the sculpture then becomes a representation of life and growth, stretching and connecting in a way that seems perpetually alive. Through this, Jiaze connects our delicate human experiences with the physical spaces that we all live in. Seamless is displayed in a room that also features Judith Rothschild's Untitled Composition, a painting made in 1945 and influenced by the digital movement. Digital is an art movement that was founded in 1917 that focused on simplifying forms and using primary colors, red, yellow, and blue alongside black and white. It's almost as if Z sculpture is Rothschild's painting when turned into life. By interacting with Rothschild's painting, Seamless connects historical ideas of abstraction to contemporary ones, becoming a seam between the different art time periods, weaving them together to make them feel seamless. To conclude, Jiaze's Seamless invites us to rethink the ordinary, to look at familiar spaces and objects in entirely new ways. It creates a conversation across time and material, blending memory with imagination. It challenges us to find meaning in the overlooked and to notice the hidden connections that makes up our life. Just like how Jiaze intertwines the mundane with the profound, our own journeys too are shaped by these quiet, powerful intersections. Thank you.